Sure. So I am Paula Radcliffe. I am I guess, a retired professional athlete. Still, I would term myself a runner, because I still try and run most days. And it's definitely evolved for me from a form of competition, from my career, to now just something that's important, to help me feel better and to be the best that I can be each day. And then alongside that, I do some commentating work on athletics events and road race events with the BBC and with other broadcasters. And I work with children and families in terms of trying to advocate physical health, and I do some motivational speaking as well.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for being part of the 45 Strong. It's a pleasure and a delight for you to be part of it.
Thank you.
So let's jump straight in with the first question, which is, what does being strong mean to you?
Being strong, and I was thinking about this a lot, like kind of what is strong and what is a strong woman. And I think a strong person is somebody who is not afraid to face their fears and to think about what they want to do and then to go after what they want to do. So it is not afraid of kind of lumps and bumps and detours and obstacles in the way, and is not afraid of facing hard truths about themselves and about their environment in order to learn and to try and improve those areas and to try and be successful. So yeah, I think it's a lot of things, but at the core of it, I think it's being true to yourself and accepting that some things worth getting are scary, but you have to face up to them and try and tackle them head on.
Yeah, I really like that analogy. So yeah, thank you for sharing that. And could you share an experience in your own life where you had to be strong, and how did you handle it as well?
Oh gosh, I mean, I guess there's lots of times. I think career-wise, I think relationship-wise, I think being a parent. Certainly for me, probably the hardest time that I've gone through was my daughter facing cancer, and having to go through that diagnosis, that treatment, kind of support her, um, while trying to hold the rest of the family together as well. Probably made tougher by the fact that I'd lost my dad about 4 months prior to that. So one of the biggest people that I would have been able to lean on through that was there inside, but kind of I had to think a lot. I had to process a lot of things to be able to kind of unlock that support that would have just been readily available before that. So that was undoubtedly a really, really tough period for me.
Wow, I can only imagine. I don't have children myself, but yeah, that connection to somebody else and not having to dig in, the inner strength I think you're referring to, and the emotional strength for others, while also trying to process it. Yeah, thank you so much for sharing that.
Well, I think the hardest thing was the fact that you can't do it for them. So
Mm.
you can't be strong for them. You can be strong for them, but you can't. They have to be strong, and all you can do is support them as much as possible. But in the end, they're the one going through it, and you can only just try and make it easier for them.
One of my best friends in Australia, his 19-year-old daughter was diagnosed with cancer, and again, it was a tough lesson for me because I was always a doer, and I had to sit down and talk with myself and say, however she wants support, I need to be that. And if that's silence and
Mhm.
quiet, I need to be okay with that, because normally I'd be, what can I do? What can I do? And that might not be the right thing. So yeah, with empathy, yeah, well done for holding the space for your daughter to be what she needed to be throughout that prognosis as well.
Yeah.
And how do you think societal expectations around women affect the concept of strength?
I definitely think that societal expectations have developed over my lifetime. Having said that, the more I kind of see today and the more I hear from my daughter, the more grateful I am for the upbringing that I had and the people that I had around me. I think my parents, my grandparents, my grandmother was an extremely strong woman. If I had to define one strong woman in my life, she would be the strongest one. She was basically born in 1917. She only weighed 3.5 pounds, and they weren't sure she would survive, and she lived to 95. She was a nurse in World War II. She got married out in Cairo. She basically did what she wanted to do with her life, but kind of really taught me, if you want something in life, it's you that has to go after it and make it happen, but make sure you always treat the people around you with respect while you're doing it. So some of the biggest lessons that she taught me, and I think that was really important, because growing up in the 1980s, there was never anything that I thought my brother could do that I couldn't do. I think I felt like we were extremely equal, and we both were extremely equipped to go and make of our lives, make out of the world what we could. And it shocks me today to hear some girls, young girls, say that they don't feel that they have the same opportunities as boys do. Because I honestly have never felt that, and I don't think it's something that should be happening, and I'm not sure it's society's fault. I think it's just maybe just the people who have been around those young girls growing up. And that's why I say I'm extremely grateful for the upbringing that I had, that I never even entered the realms of possibility that I couldn't try and do whatever I wanted to try and do.
Yeah, that's actually quite sad to hear. It sounds, and again, it's not a blanket statement. There are pockets where it's not so, but to hear that some women, young girls nowadays, think that they have less opportunity, because that is
I mean,
usually.
sadly, in some societies, in some parts of the world, it's absolutely true. And that's why I still think we have a lot to do. I mean, I'm talking from a very, very privileged position. There are a lot of women and a lot of girls that do not have that privileged position and do not have those opportunities that I had. So there, it's nothing to do with the way that they've been brought up. That is a need to break down society. I'm talking about in our society, it should not happen. It shouldn't happen anywhere in the world, and we should be able to be strong enough in ours to go to those other parts of the world and try and do something about making sure that everybody has equal opportunities, whether you're male or female, however you identify, wherever you are, you should have those opportunities.
Yeah, 100%. And sort of leaning onto that, I suppose, what are some common misconceptions about strength that you've encountered?
I guess the biggest misconception for me about strength is that it's not always about power. And it is definitely not about having power over people. I think that is not strong. It's not about not being able to show emotion either. I think that's a strength, not a weakness. And I think being able to identify emotions, process them, let them out, deal with them is actually a strength. Whereas in lots of areas of society, I do feel it's looked upon as a weakness. And that's where I think things can move forward. And yeah, as I said, it's not about brute strength by any means. It's about being strong to your morals, to your beliefs, to your integrity, and standing up for what you believe in, and being, yeah, just generally strong to yourself.
Yeah, I think that's really powerful in being strong to our morals, because then it doesn't matter what we're actually doing in the external, the action or the words, as long as we're true to our North Star, that's where the strength comes from. So yeah, beautiful. Thank you so much. And how has your understanding of strength influenced your approach to success and goal setting?
I think massively. I'm a really big believer. Since I was a small girl starting out in athletics, and my coach talked to me about setting goals for the year ahead. So I'm a big believer in setting goals and in dreaming big, and in having those, yes, realistic goals, because we all need to tick off something and kind of feel good that we're succeeding with things, but also having those unrealistic goals that are kind of pie in the sky. But if you don't try, you actually are never going to find out what you're really capable of. And guess breaking down that misconception that not achieving those goals is failure, because it's not achieving perhaps those goals, but in other areas there is going to be success in there. and nobody goes straight to success without having some fall downs, some obstacles, and some failures along the way, which often, I think, bring you more strength in the long run, and certainly build that all-round perspective and arsenal that you're going to need to keep moving forward. So they give you the tools. And so I think that's the biggest thing that I've learned, is that often those setbacks are the things that you learn the most from and you gain the most from, in terms of being able to move forward towards achieving what your ultimate goal is.
Yeah, yeah, that's great. And it's very resonant to how I lived my life, if I may, because my original goal when I took up triathlon was to become age group world champion in Ironman, which is a long distance triathlon, and I never achieved it because my potential never got me to that point. But I became age group world champion in long distance triathlon, which is a little shorter distance. So I found my level, but had I not have had that crazy big goal, I never would have found my true level. So I'm very much for aiming for the stars and be very happy to arrive in the moon.
Yeah.
And from your own experience of, as an elite athlete, where in Britain, I'd say you are quite a household name for what you accomplished in putting yourself out there, as well as now your other roles as well. What one tip or technique have you developed in nurturing strength?
I think there's a number of things. I mean, one technique, it's hard because it's a lot of things drawn together. I do remember something that, again, I learned from my coach, Alex, was just trust your instincts. And I think that's the biggest thing, that in going through life and going through my career, you kind of see that it's something that young children have. And they have a very strong instinct of what's the thing that they want to do, what's the right thing to do, who to trust and who not to trust. And it's kind of like something that's a little bit dampened down by society, because that's not how you're supposed to behave. And sometimes I think it is actually a strength just to be able to listen to that inner voice, even though it might not make the most sense. And if you try and reason it out on paper, it may not be the smartest thing to try and do. Sometimes that little inner voice inside that's telling you to do something is worth taking a punt on and just having a go at it, and just seeing where it gets you. So I think trusting that instinct, as well as being true to yourself, is really important. I think another strength is kind of working out that when you're trying to make decisions, it's not about making the decision that's going to be the most popular or the easiest decision. Sometimes it's about just making the decision that is right and that deep inside is the right thing to do.
Yeah, yeah. As you said, I think it's really poignant that the question actually sets you up to not take into account that we're complex and there isn't just one solution or one answer. Yeah, trusting our instinct of overriding the one.
Yeah.
And I do love circles and completions. So if I may ask the first question as the final question, what does being strong mean to you?
Being strong to me means living my life, going after what I want to do, being there for the people that are there for me and that are important to me as well. I think that's a really big part of being strong, and not being afraid to go after those things and to keep trying to work for things that are important to me, even if it feels like I'm never going to get there. I think being able to keep going, keep modifying, keep learning, keep changing direction, keep finding different ways to try and achieve those goals that are really important to me, I think is a big part of my strength. And like I say, being there for all of those people in my life that need me, and that I want to be there for.
Thank you so much, Paula. And thank you so much for your time as well to be part of the 45 Strong project. Your answers and reflections are really inspiring and intriguing, that I think I'll need a bit of time to reflect on myself.
I might have to process them a little bit myself. Thank you. It's been a pleasure.